Hello everyone, welcome to Yoon Dongju Memorial Hall. I'm going to help you with your viewing today. About 8 years ago, poet Yoon Dongju walked the same path as you did and opened the front door of the Pinson Hall. This was the dormitory where Yoon Dongju lived after entering Yeonhee College in 1938, which is the previous name of Yonsei University. Welcome to the Pinson Hall. Then let's move to the first exhibition room of the Memorial Hall, Prelude Hall. Prelude Hall is an entry to the life and poetry of Yoon Dongju. In Prelude Hall, visitors can say hello through his handwritten manuscripts that started this Memorial Hall. First, this is the New Testament. Yoon Dongju always carried this Bible with him, and you can feel the religious attitude and traces deeply rooted in life in his poems. This is a book called Artistry, owned by Yoon Dongju. On the cover of the book, he wrote down a praise of Mencius, saying that the cause of all the problems must be found in one's own attitude. It also resembles the attitude of poet Yoon Dongju, who constantly reflected on himself. This is the collection of poet Baeseok's poems, Dear. When Yoon Dongju was a middle school student, he could not find this collection of poems, so he made this manuscript by himself all day long in the library. This is a collection of poems completed by Yoon Dongju when he graduated from Yeonhee College. Although it was not officially published, 19 poems were collected and titled Sky, Wind, Stars, and Poems.
The name of the next exhibition room is Where is the Falling Star Drops? You can see at a glance the effort of the remaining people to remember Yoon Dongju and to preserve and inform his poem after the star Yoon Dongju fall. In the middle, there is a chest drawer where visitors can freely open and appreciate according to their interest.
It contains a variety of materials, including chronological tables, guest books of memorial meetings, letters, pirated compositions, and newspaper articles. Visit the Yoon Dongju Memorial Hall and check it out.
Originally, a video clip about poet Yoon Dongju, produced from the 1890s to the latest, is being screened, but it is copyrighted, so it would be good for you to visit and enjoy it.
This is the youth hall. You can see the time, space, and community of Bukgando, where the boy Yoon Dongju was born and raised. Koreans who migrated to Bukgando at the end of the 19th century established a community here. This is called Maksegiwa, which was actually used in an area called Myeongdong Village. It is a part of the roof of the house, and you can see the pattern symbolizing Joseon Dynasty engraved in here. You can see Koreans' efforts to maintain their identity as a Korean, even in an unfamiliar land like Bukgando. 숭실활찬, the magazine that was published at school that Yoon Dongju first attended in Joseon, contains Yoon Dongju's poem Fantasy. This is a new path home. In 1938, Yoon Dongju entered Yeonhee College in Gyeongsang, which was the previous name of Seoul. This poem was written immediately after entering the school. In the poem, you can feel the anticipation and excitement of his new school life as a freshman. In this drawer, you can see a group photo to commemorate the entrance of students from the College of Liberal Arts at Yeonhee College in 1938. During his school life, Yoon Dongju learned a lot from professors such as Choi Hyun-bae and Lee Yang-ha. Yeonhee College was a cradle for laying the national spirit to heart and acquiring knowledge about the world.
This is the self-portrait hall. Yoon Dongju depicted himself reflected in the well in his poem Self-Portraits. In this hall, you can see the self-portraits of his friends who interacted with him at Yeonhee College. His cousin Song Mong-gyu was a friend of Yoon Dongju from his hometown to Japan throughout his life. Perhaps because they were related by blood, they looked alike and were similar in height as twins. Kang Cho-jung is the person who worked hard to preserve and publicize Yoon Dongju's manuscripts written when he was in Japan. He was an active editorial staff member of Munul, a student magazine of the College of Liberal Arts in Yanhee College. Song Mong-gyu and Yoon Dongju published Korean poems here. Jung Byung-wook, who is 2 years behind Yoon Dongju at Yanhee College, admired Yoon Dongju even before entering the college, since he had read the poet's poem in the Joseon-ilbo. After entering the school, they lived together in a boarding house. Yoon Dongju's poetry book for charity Sky, Wind, Stars and Poem is able to be read to us thanks to the only one preserved by Jung Byung-wook here. In this way, Yoon Dongju's friends played an important role after his death.
In this hall, you can find the books and representative poems that provided literary nourishment to Yoon Dongju. In this drawer, there are about 40 books owned by Yoon Dongju. He explored a wide range of literature and ideas from all over the world. This is a collection of Chung Ji-young's poems. Yoon Dongju bought it from Pyongyang and even took it to Gyeongsang. As you can see, he had a habit of leaving the date of purchase and signature in various ways. But this signature here is a bit unique. This is a mirror writing and his name is flipped from left to right, written vertically. You can see it in the mirror. From this signature, we can take a new look at Yoon Dongju, who is often thought to be a serious person. Next, we will look at the drawer of the manuscripts. Yoon Dongju tried to publish a collection of Korean poems to commemorate his graduation from Yanhee College. But during the Japanese colonial era, when publication of Korean language was strictly forbidden, he was not able to publish poems in Korean. Eventually, he transcribed 3 copies by hand, presenting 2 of them to Lee Young-ha and Jung Byung-wook. The only remaining handwritten manuscript is preserved here. The title of this collection is Sky, Wind, Stars, and Poem. However, there are traces of the title being written and erased on the cover. The original title of the book was Hospital. According to the retrospect from his friend Jung Byung-wook, Yoon Dongju had said, "The world is full of patients now. A hospital is a place to heal the sick, so perhaps this collection of poems could be of help to them." His poems was a message of healing under the pain of the late colonial period. Please take a look at the poem Hospital, which has the same title. This space follows the traces of Yoon Dongju's overseas studies in Japan and allows you to think about his unrecorded time there. He studied at 2 universities, Rikkyo University in Tokyo and Toshisha University in Kyoto. Here is one of the poems he wrote while studying in Japan. It contains the loneliness that the youth desperately had to face in the middle of the colonial era and the concern about the meaning of writing poetry. Now, let's look for the last traces of Yoon Dongju in this drawer. In the picture, we can find the Yoon Dongju and his relatives gathering during his vacation while he was in Rikkyo University. Only his hair is cut short in the picture because the order prohibiting top knots was held for Rikkyo University students at the time. Due to Tokyo's tight atmosphere, where Rikkyo University was located, he transferred to Toshisha University in Kyoto. This is the last photo of Yoon Dongju while attending Toshisha University on a picnic with his colleagues. In 1943, he was imprisoned in Fukuoka prison for violating the public security law. Thus, the poet eventually ends his life at the age of 27 after a year and 7 months in prison, just 6 months before liberation.
This is a picture of Yoon Dongju's funeral. Above it, there is a picture of his tombstone. If you look at the tombstone, you can see the phrase "the tomb of poet Yoon Dongju." It was his family that first recognized him as a poet. In the poet's prose, the end and the beginning, The sentence, the end point, becomes the beginning point, appears repeatedly. This exhibition room can also be seen as the end of his life, but at the same time, it refers to the beginning of his life as a poet. So far, we have met Yoon Dongju's life and the literary world through permanent exhibition commentary. From now on, we will go to meet him and his poems through light and sound.
Here you are watching now is the Tech Hall. This media art space allows you to appreciate 윤동주's poetry and life through light and sound. A shadow cast on the wall is connected to scene, season, and weather in that well. In self-portrait, which is 윤동주's poetry, there is a scene where he looks into himself, reflected on the surface of a well. Like this, the well was a mirror for him to see his inner side. If you visit Yoon Dongju Memorial Hall, you can see more detailed explanation of the work. The window hall is a reinterpretation of the dormitory when Yoon Dongju stayed. This is Yoon Dongju's room, who was preparing to return home for the summer vacation of the first school year. He even bought a train ticket here. Can you imagine Yoon Dongju sitting at this desk and conceiving a poem called Rainy Night?
In Monastery Hall, you can listen to poetry recitations. Yoon Dongju's poems are being consistently published and translated into more than 10 different languages all over the world. Yoon Dongju's representative poems, as well as many people's favorite poems, in Korean, English, Japanese, and Chinese. The exhibits under the stairs were discovered during the restoration of the Pinson Hall, which used to be a dormitory and later repurposed into a lecture room, an editorial room for Yonsei, and a corporate office. Please look at the wall for a moment. As time passed, whenever the place changed its use, the walls were painted in layers. In order to keep the century-old traces intact, Yoon Dongju Memorial Hall partially removed the recorded paint and restored the layer to expose it as it is. It is believed that Yoon Dongju stayed on the second floor and the third floor in his college years. The door you can see is the storage of the Yoon Dongju Memorial Hall. The safe used by the university corporate office is now used to store the original exhibits. The second floor of Pinson Hall is Yoon Dongju Library, where we collect all publications, events, and news related to Yoon Dongju. Poetry collections, related research books, dissertations, and cultural contents are constantly being gathered. Finally, the third floor is a space of future where culture is created and spread through Yoon Dongju. The left side of the third floor is Simon Hall, which is a culture space used as a small lecture hall. Various lectures, performances, and special exhibitions are held here. Simon Hall is also a space where poet Yoon Dongju is believed to have actually lived during his first grade. Please feel the atmosphere here comfortably, recalling how he would listen to the sounds in and out of the dormitory in the room. That is all for today's exhibition commentary. Thank you.